In this video, we're going to be restoring yellow oxidized headlights like these ones here into almost brand new condition like this. Do you want to learn how to do this? Well, let's get going. So the method I'm about to show you in this video is permanent. It's not temporary like headlight restoration kits or brasso treatment. If you saw my video on that, this will last maybe 2 to 3 months. But in this video, we're going to show you how to do something permanently. So the reason this goes yellow and oxidized is because the clear protective UV layer has disappeared. So what we need to do is remove whatever's left on there and put a new coat on that with something like this. But in order to do this, we need to remove the existing layer first, and that's what we're going to be doing with the sanding process. So it's much easier to remove your headlights and do the process that way, but these are very integrated into the car. They're quite a pain to remove. So what we're going to be doing is leaving them in the vehicle and showing you how to do it while they're still installed. I think most people will be in this scenario. So if your headlights are still installed in the vehicle, mask it off with some painter's tape or something like that. We just want to make sure it's a nice, good line against the headlight. There's no exposed bodywork, and similarly, we have no paint on the headlight either. So let's talk about the sanding process now. You can do this perfectly fine by hand, or you can use a couple of tools. Here I have a sander. It's a portable sander. It's an orbital sander, and I also have a variable speed drill with a little Velcro attachment for some sanding discs. So if your headlights look something like this, they're quite yellowed, they're quite oxidized, but nothing is really peeling off, then you can start at something like 800 grit sandpaper. So something like this. But if they look something like this, very oxidized, maybe the clear coat is peeling or something like that, then you might want to start out with something like 400 grit sandpaper. So the higher the grit sandpaper, you can see it's a lot smoother. So during this process, we're going to be starting with something low grit like this, and finally finishing off with something like this as we slowly work our way through the numbers here. Now for this process, we're going to be wet sanding. Wet sanding is less abrasive than dry sanding. So what we can do is just stick these in some water, 10 minutes, something like that, and come back to it when we've finished masking off the car here. So before we sand for the first time, it doesn't necessarily matter if you use a tool or you do it by hand. It just depends what you have. If you have all the professional equipment, then maybe you have the money to buy new headlights. But the point of our videos is to aim these at the person with the average tools, or maybe no tools at all. There's no harm doing this by hand, in which if you're doing it by hand, use like a backing pad or something like this. So when we're sanding it, we get a nice uniform sanding process like this. So you'll be sanding like this. It's no problem at all. If you have a variable speed drill like this with a small pad, there's no harm cutting one of these down so it fits just fine. It really just depends what tools and what things you have lying around. Okay, so I'm starting out with 800 grit here. I'm doing it by hand. I've got some spray here. So we're doing a wet sand. The sandpaper's already wet because we soaked it. We have some spray coming on as well. This is going to be a less abrasive sand. Because I have oval headlights here, I can start in an orbital pattern. The reason is we just want to get off any old clear coat, all those flakes on here. We just want to give it a nice 800 grit sanding. Once we've done this for a few minutes, we're going to change our sanding to more straight lines like this. So up, down, up, down, up, down. But for right now, we just want to give it a sanding and try and get everything off. So with the sanding, make sure you get all the way to the edges. It's really easy to neglect the edges because it's quite hard to get into. If you have more square or rectangular lights, then it might be easier with that shaped sandpaper, but this is the reason I'm using circular sanding disc. It kind of makes sense to me. When sanding with low grit sandpaper, try not to press very hard. We don't want to make like defined marks in it. We just want to take off the clear coat. So it's only a light sanding. So after around 5-7 minutes of sanding, I'm going to switch to a less circular motion now. I'm going to go up and down only. And the reason for that, well, it'll be clear momentarily. So up, down, and that way all of our sanding strokes are going to be in one direction. We're not going to have swirls. Okay, so that's our 800 grit sanding process. You can see it looks very washed out, doesn't it? Very hazy, very white, but don't worry, that's normal. So we can see our sanding marks kind of go straight like that, so that's quite important. So the first sanding process is complete. The next thing we're going to do is wet sand again with a higher grit sandpaper. We started at 800, so we're going to go to 1500. If you started at 400 or 600, you might then want to go to 1000 or something like that. So it's pretty much the same process. So with the next grit of sandpaper, whether you have 1000 or 1500, no need to do orbital pattern. It's just going to be straight up, down, just like before. The thing is, when we use a lower grit sandpaper, it's going to make some nice scoring marks, get that really nasty stuff off. And now we're pretty much polishing it in a way, or at least a high grit sanding. So it's going to get smoother and smoother as we go up the grits of sand. Okay, so that's the 1500 grit sandpaper on there. We're going to give it a nice clean, get any loose sand and dirt off there. And then we're going to climb up the sandpaper grits one last time. Okay, so we're going from 1500 to 2000 grit. You can keep going if you wish. I think 2000 is where I'm going to call it after this one. If you did 1000 on the last one because you started at maybe 400, then again you might want another sanding process to finish around 2000. But it's going to be pretty much the same process one last time. Okay, and just like that, the wet sanding process is complete. So whether doing headlights or body work on the car, the key is to always slowly creep up the grits of sandpaper. So whether doing body work with paint, headlight restoration, or anything like that, the same principle will usually apply. So after the sanding process, you can see the headlights are very milky now. Don't worry about that. We're going to move on to the next step. Okay, so with the sanding out of the way now, we're going to move on to the next step, and that is applying a rubbing compound like this one here. A compound is a paste that has tiny particles, metal particles, suspended in a solution. So it's almost like a sanding process, but this will be the next step. We can use something like a variable speed drill or something like that, and we're just going to apply a little bit of this with gloves if you have it to the top of here. And then we're going to do pretty much what we did before. We can do this by hand. It might take 15 minutes, or with something like this, it might only take 5, give or take. So if your headlights aren't oxidized very badly at all, you can actually just use a rubbing compound to try and restore them. There's no need for the wet sanding process. So it is something to bear in mind. So you can see already just after the compound what a difference that makes. It's truly remarkable, isn't it? Look at that. Wow. You can almost eat your dinner off there. Okay, so it's looking a lot better already. Now for the next step. So this tape is really wet now. I'm not too worried about it really being here. I can't really reuse it. It's sodden, so I'm going to apply new tape. But it doesn't really matter for the next step because it's just a polish. I don't really mind if I polish the paint. It's probably actually a good thing. So here's a little tip when compounding or polishing or even sanding for that matter when using tools like this is you don't want to press too hard and you don't want to stay in the same place for too long. Otherwise you can generate heat spots and actually ruin your headlights. So you want to keep it moving but don't apply too much pressure. Okay, so with the compound step complete and out of the way, we're going to remove, if using a tool, our compound pad because it's going to be full of all those particles and we don't want to interfere with our next step, which is the final polishing step. So this is just normal car polish here. I have a polishing pad for our variable speed drill. Again, you can do it by hand. There's no problem with doing that as well. So we're now just going to polish off all of the headlights. Okay, so the headlights, they've been wet sanded, not one, not two, but 3 times. They've been compounded and polished. They look amazing, but the problem is, if we don't protect these from the UV, from the sun, then they are just going to go back exactly how they were before. So what we need to do is spray a clear coat on these lights. And the exact same principle applies if spraying your car with paint. You need a clear coat. It protects your car from the harmful UV rays and prevents oxidation. So let's apply the clear coat. So I will be amazed if your painter's tape is still on here. If it is, congratulations. If not, then we need to apply some more. So let's apply painter's tape around the headlights again, and then we're going to mask off this whole area so we don't accidentally get clear coat on our paintwork here. Okay, so the last and final step is to apply the clear coat. All the products and everything I use I've linked in the description below, so you can check those out. If buying a clear coat, make sure it protects your headlights from UV damage. Very, very important. The easiest way to apply a clear coat is to put maybe like a trash bag over the car, tape it on the corners, and then you can easily just cut out the headlights here and mask them off. Very, very simple. So because we applied the masking tape before the trash bag, we didn't really need to be accurate with the cutting. So it's going to be a lot easier to clear coat this without accidentally getting clear coat on our paintwork or anything we don't want it to get on. Now, before applying the clear coat, all clear coats are made differently in the factories. Always check the instructions. They'll always tell you to do something slightly different. So pretty much hold it 6 to 8 inches away, reapply every 15 minutes and let it harden for 24 hours. All right. Okay, so before we start applying any clear coat, I'm going to clean off the headlights with isopropyl alcohol here. It doesn't have to be 99.9. We're not dealing with electronics. We just want to get off all the dirt, all the debris, the fingerprints, oils, anything like that. So we're starting with a nice clean surface before applying any paint. And the same will apply when doing painting as well. Okay, so remember when we were wet sanding before, we're kind of going in a continuous stroke like this towards the end of the sanding. And that way, this is going to have better adhesion when we spray it on. And that is the reason for doing that. Okay, so when spraying, pretty much the same applies when doing body work as well. 6 to 8 inches, start away from the object and follow all the way through like this. All the way through. Don't go like this, don't go like this. All the way through, solid strokes, very easy. Don't worry about covering it all the first time. We will get it on the second or the third time. Eventually we will have complete coverage. So the reason we apply it on thinly is because we don't want it to run. We don't want a weird orange peel effect, and we don't want to ruin all of the work we've put into this. The main thing is we will get full coverage. It just takes time. Okay, coat number 2. Okay, so the third and final coat now. Okay, so that's the third and final coat of our clear coat here. We're going to wait 24 hours now and see the result tomorrow. Okay, so now the clear coat has had 24 hours to cure. This is it. This is the end of the process. You've officially restored your car headlights. Wow, look at that. So like I mentioned before, unlike typical headlight restoration kits, this is a permanent solution. You're going to enjoy nice deoxidized headlights for years and years to come. What do you think? It is not bad, is it? Wow. So a final note, if you mess up the clear coat or you have some undesirable orange peeling in the clear coat there, what you can do is give it another wet sand, but with a really fine grit, maybe 2000, even 3000 grit, something like that, and then apply a polish and a wax and finish them off just like before. But these look absolutely great, a damn sight better than they were before. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something new as well. By following the steps in this video, you're pretty much 75% of the way there of restoring and painting your own bodywork on your car. The steps are very similar. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.